hosted by Rob and Dave, a podcast dedicated to all things Horus Heresy in the Northwest region of America. Please stay tuned for the next transmission.
Hey everyone, this is Rob.
And this is Dave.
We're back.
And we're having all sorts of fun today.
We are. We've actually, yeah.
So, cool part about these podcasts for Rob and I is we don't see each other except on video.
That's true.
So we're sitting here having a beer over the last hour, chatting it up, and I guess we better hit the record button. So, how everything been going up your way, sir?
Good. Busy. I just, this whole new job thing is cool and all, but like it's really killed my hobby time and my game playing time. The cool part is though, is that it also allows me to listen to a lot of audiobooks, so I've been catching up on fluff. So I mean, it's kind of take it in sways. So it's been going good.
Which one are you on now?
I'm right down the middle of Praetorian of Dorne.
Nice. I just finished the Flight of the Eisenstein. So
you got a ways to go.
I do. I'm lacking in that. When I'm go. I don't get a chance to listen to much. So.
No, I gotcha. No, Praetorian of Dorne is a pretty good book so far. I'm not gonna spoil it for anybody, but it's pretty entertaining thus far. It's definitely a side of the heresy that I didn't think about for the Alpha Legion, anyways.
Oh, I was like, do you see yourself going trader now?
Already have technically. I've got 1,000 Suns army, man.
Have you played it yet?
It's not even built.
So that being said,
yeah. That being said, yeah, I'm lacking. But that's pretty much what I've been going on up here, man. I'm just trying to finish the last couple of commissions I got, and then I'm gonna probably hold off on doing commission work for a while, just because the work life's so crazy. And then, audiobooks. What's been going on with you?
Yeah, see how I rolled that in. I threw you under the bus immediately, so I had time to collect my thoughts.
Well, you didn't throw me in front of the bus. You just placed me in the path the bus usually travels, and I got hit by it. Huge difference.
So, yeah, I've been working crazy hours as well, but also been trying to get ready for this Tides of the Corrupted event we had yesterday down at Games and Gizmos. But hobby-wise, I'm kind of in the same boat. I really haven't been doing a whole lot. 60-plus hour weeks kind of sucks the life out of your hobby.
Yep.
And so, yeah, we're not the normal nerds. We are workaholic nerds.
Sadly, I'm the kind of nerd they'll call me and say, hey, you got to come in and work for 14 hours. So I'm like, okay. Just, okay. Here I come. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that too. And I got a couple guys. But I guess my hobby progress is getting guys in work involved in Warhammer. I've got another operator. He's slowly building an Emperor's Children army. Never played the game. I lent him book 1, Betrayal, and stuff. He's read through that, and he just loves it. So, as far as my hobby progresses, I'm sucking other people's souls into this as much as of my own. So.
Good. Feed the machine.
That's right.
Hoorah!
So, we're going to talk a little bit about Tides of Corrupted. You guys are going to hear a little story time from I've got two.
By the eccentric voice of Dave.
Yeah. I'm going to butcher these names because, I'm a hick and that's how I roll. And about Tides of Corrupted. So, anybody who's just tuning in, basically, Tides of Corrupted, I give extra points to people who come up with fluff for their armies, their praetors and whatnot. And I had a guy do one for the Towns of the Emperor, which I thought was awesome. And they tied it right into the Tides of Corrupted campaign. And same with the Imperial Fist. So it's like you're seeing two versions of what's going on, because the guy from the as I read it, you'll get a laugh, because you hear Dorn and this other guy from the Custodes arguing over what to do. Both guys that sent in stories.
Yep.
Imperial Fists and Custodes. So it's like
That's awesome.
and I'm like, this is gonna be amazing, and they don't even know it.
They unknowingly melded themselves together. That's so badass.
And it's great. So we'll talk a little bit about the Tides of the Corrupted campaign that started off yesterday. We had 18 players show up. I had 8 Zone Mortalis and 3 3,000 point. Now, if anybody's doing the math in their head, yes, on a 3,000 point, we had 2-man teams. So that's why I went up to 18. It was a lot of fun. A little bit more stressful than normal because I kind of botched it as an organizer in respect is that I don't normally do the Zone Mortalis stuff.
Yeah.
And I had a friend of mine type up everything, and I went and used his, and I adjusted it for the campaign.
Right.
And then I printed out the original document. So everything that I had changed was not changed. So it was super confusing. And they're like, or the Alpha Legion guys. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, I totally screwed that up. So the Zone Mortalis was fun, but not as awesome as it should have been because I changed stuff that didn't wind up on the board.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And stuff. And it happens. And the dudes for the Zone Mortalis were pretty easy going, you know. The 3,000 point games, however, so if anybody remembers the invitational I had last month, it was my trial run, and they said, oh, you need to dial this down and bump this up. Oh, I dialed it down and bumped things up. Yeah, I obviously screwed up royally on that. My Hell Planet, I figured, okay, I'll dial it down so anybody hit the relic to find. A little bit. I'm going to stop right there. The Tides of Corrupted is basically a arms race. We talked about that a little bit during the last episode. So the whole idea of the game day is who finds the relic weapon, you know, not only from orbit, but also on the planet.
Right.
Or the moon, wherever it's at. So first game, obviously, you know right where the relic is because the moment they touch that damn thing, every table is taking a strength 8 hit, no matter what is going on their table, which freaks the shit out of everybody. I have it to taking a strength 8 hit per model, but people were like, "Oh my god, it'll take too long." I go, "Just do it per unit," which I think I dialed it down too much in that respect, but it made it too powerful against tank units.
Right.
And one poor gentleman who didn't actually hear that did it the way I had intended it and lost half of his army. And I felt so bad. I'm like, dude, and he was on his own Mortalis table, so 1,000 points, 5 guys is half your army, pretty much. And in that respect, I felt kind of bad, but I'm like, well, that's what you get for not listening. So it was fun in that respect. I think I stressed a few people out because they're not used to playing campaign style events. They're more or less go to tournaments.
Yeah.
And so competitiveness went out the window. And the guy that I actually put on this table, I'm going to call him out a little bit. He played Lehman Russ with 2 knights. So it's already a badass list. And it's a very much cutthroat list that is very competitive. So I put him with a kid I work with who didn't have a painted army, and I told him that's what he gets for not having a painted army. So it was fun. The guy got mad at me. I'm like, dude, just play the table. This is my favorite table. You'll see why. And the moment he started hitting those strength 8 hits, pop, pop, pop. And he's like, this is amazing. He won the game, but it wasn't an, oh my god, overwhelming fight. So it was fun. Overall, what happened, I actually wrote it down, is that the goal was achieved. The weapon was located on the moon. The ground forces, let me throw this up. I have 4 factions rather than Loyalist Trader. I did Mechanicum and Black Shields as their own separate units.
Nice. Okay.
So, because the Mechanicum, this is a Mechanicum weapon, they can give a rat's ass about the Emperor at this point whenever they see this type of technology that's their own.
Yeah.
In all fluff I've ever read, Mechanicum can give a rat's ass about humanity. So, I made it to where they were their 4. So, I had 1 Mechanicum force and 2 Black Shield forces. The Black Shields basically got wiped off the planetoids, and the relic was captured both by the Loyalist and the trader faction, so it's still in contention. So nobody knows nobody has it per se.
Yep.
However, the Black Shields in orbit won enough games to where they were the only ones during one of the scenarios to hold the sensors long enough to find where the control panels are. So coming up in June, I have an all zone Mortalis event. It's going to be 1,250 points, and it's basically going to be the cave structure on the moon, finding not only the control panel and the weapon system. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun. The Mechanicum basically said, "Screw you all," and left orbital combat and headed straight for the moon once they found out where that weapon was.
Right.
And how Panda, like, you guys can destroy each other. I do not care. You're on your own, and basically slaughtered everybody in their wake to get to the moon and stuff. And overall, out of 21 games, it was 11 loyalist, 10 traitor, and we had one couple guys drop at the very last part of Zone Mortalis. So
right,
but it was a lot of fun. I would say we had a gentleman from BC come down from Vancouver. So if any of you guys are listening up there, you guys are welcome to come to our events. His name is Darren. He'll tell you it was a lot of fun. I had a really good time visiting with him. Guy from Tri-Cities, Alex. He usually comes to our events. It's about 2.5 hour drive for him. So, and West Seattle dudes, and it was different because, like at the event I had in March was just the Invitational, totally different group of guys. So I having with the exception of 2 or 3.
That's actually really crazy. You have such an influx of different players coming up to events.
Yeah, and it kind of blows me away, and it goes to show we got the Dragonflight event at the end of August. I know you're hopefully coming down.
Yeah, I'll be coming
with
down
our work schedules. We hope it has. It's like, but I'm really hoping to see guys from BC come down, a couple more from Tri-Cities and Oregon come up. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. And I think we will have at least 30 or 40 players if we allow that. So, but it's unique.
So I'm looking through the photos for your event that were posted on the Northwest 30K page. Not only did you have some really cool armies, I like all the different kinds of Zone Mortalis boards you had. It looks like you had one or two that was made from, it looks like the Pegasus kits, the Pegasus building kits.
Yeah, I'm going to do a shout out to Don Geish. He's a buddy of ours. He lives in Seattle. Unfortunately, he wasn't unable to attend to. He had a family death, so he had to fly back east or to the Midwest. But he donated 2 boards to the event. So what he did, for all you hobbyists out there, he used the Betrayal Calf tiles and Pegasus boards. And he built 2 boards reasonably cheap. I mean, they're not cheap, but they're cheap enough to where, it's cheaper than a Forge World by far.
Yeah, I like what he did with it, and I could honestly see that, like, the way that it's made, because it's like with Zone Mortalis and all the windows and stuff. Like, how would that really work? It's like, yeah, but what if it was a gigantic, like a factory complex or something? You know?
And it worked really well because, I mean, with his, I'm able to pull it off only because, like, the ships are Gothic ships, so they have the cathedral walls.
Yep.
So I was able to use it like that. He did a really good job. I used him at the Invitational as well. So but he did a good job. I was really impressed.
And I also have to ask, too. I agree with his his craftsmanship, and honestly, using the Betrayal Cal tiles, I would never have thought of doing that. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
My other question is, too, you got an MDF board there.
Yeah. The MDF board was lent to us from a guy named Timothy Medford from Tri-Cities.
Okay.
He bought them from ttcombat.com. It's the Death Quadrant board. It is awesome. The downside is you can move everything, and I'm kind of an asshole when it comes to when I start an event. I don't allow any changes to take place because if it affected one player, it's going to affect all players.
Right.
That way, there's nobody bitching about well, he was able to do this and I wasn't. So you got to be careful where you play that. If you go to their website, I'll actually give them a shout out. And I believe, Rob, you're going to post this as well.
Yeah.
ttcombat.com.
Okay.
It's a death quadrant. Each of those walls and doors are movable.
Okay.
So you can place them anywhere on that tile. We had it to where I had 4 games going on, and during one of the first scenario is that they teleport on individual quadrants. So every foot tile was numbered, and you roll a d20.
Okay.
And you wound up in that. Well, a guy wound up stuck in a room with a contemptor because he couldn't leave.
You're right.
And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, dude. It's the way it is. And I felt bad for him and then on top of it, he was playing Imperial Fists, and another guy was playing Thousand Suns. Happened to be teleported to that same room with him, so his contemptor got his ass handed to him. I felt, but it is what it is. It's like, well, that's part of the game. It's the death of the dice. But yeah, it's TT. God damn it, TT Studios.
Okay.
TT Combat.
TT Combat. Yep. Okay, I'll put that up on the show notes. I'll put the link in there for anybody interested because it looks awesome. It looks like it's cost effective
they did
too.
really. So looks like it basically costs €18. If I'm reading that right. It could be pounds, but I think it wound up being for a 4x4 board about $260.
It's not bad at all.
So,
not for something that has walls that are modular.
Exactly. And that's the thing too, is I'm about to go out and spend a bunch of money for the event in June. I'm gonna go buy 4 sheets of plywood. I do other work besides this type of hobby, so I'll be building everything out of wood and then texture painting and whatnot for the Caves of the Dark Side of the Moon campaign that I got going. And that's going to cost me about the same amount. Yep. So it's like this is modular, so it makes it to where you can make it for different games that can fit your style for what you're going on. So,
man, I'm just cruising through the photos of your event and actually going through them. For one, whoever that was, that Death Guard player, he did a fantastic job painting his army, and that looks awesome.
That was Andrew Keith. Andrew comes to us from the UK and happens to live in our area, Seattle. Mm-hmm. And the dude, I really, really wish I'd have got some close. I actually failed horribly as an organizer. Like I said, this time around, not only did I forget half of my stuff at home when I went to the event, I got there and I didn't take any pictures because so much was going on in the background because I'm trying to get organized for Dragonflight with the owner of Games and Gizmos.
Right.
Namely, and people, and like I said, when I screw up paperwork, it frustrates me, and I had to deal with that as well. So Andrew Keith is a wonderful hobbyist. Met him a couple years ago. I bought the old Red Book off of him. You'd lent that to stores to get people in. And his Death Guard is one of the most immaculate painted armies I've ever seen. And when I say it's got the just enough of weathering to make it look dirty, but it's the cleanest army. I just like, how in the hell do you do that?
Yeah, like it looks dirty, but it doesn't look like overly done.
Yeah, it's like his lines are perfect. He does all airbrush. I was teasing him a little bit this morning while I was texting him back and forth, and like, how in the hell do you do that with the airbrush and stuff? And I need to get more information from him, but he used to be part of a gaming club in the UK. From what I gathered, I could be completely wrong. So sorry, Andrew, if I'm lying, making up a false history. But anyway,
yeah,
his armies, I think about 90% complete. You can see that the rhinos aren't done completely. You'll see one done, but I think 2 of them are not.
Yeah,
his infantry is done. It was beautiful. I'm building a Death Guard army, and I'm like, I started asking him, so how did you do this? How did you do that? It was just freaking well done, and it's just everything matched. It was, and I know guys who, and I'm one of them. You start out one way, and then pretty quick, you're looking at your army, and your shades of blue are slightly different.
Mm-hmm.
His shades of green, because he went from that bone white to green.
Yep.
Tone, and it matches all the way across the board. And I know he's been working on it for years. So His Fire Raptor is absolutely impressive as hell.
Well, they look very very impressive, man. I'm really impressed with that. With his tones and his weathering and his shading. I mean, look awesome.
Yeah. And seeing him on the camera is nothing compared to seeing him in real life.
Oh, of course not.
I couldn't take my eyes off of him. I just would go by and like, dude, how? You know?
Teach me
it's
the
like
ways.
people, there's so much talent out there.
I'll also say this too. I like the you just got a really good display there. The Emperor's Children look good. The Space Wolf player stuff looks good.
Okay, so the Emperor's Children is a guy named Darren. He comes out of BC. Hammered Headed is what the group is called. His Emperor's Children, he's been playing since book 1. Like I said, I sit down and talk to these guys, so I love their backstories. Darren, he wanted to play Loyalist Emperor's Children since day 1. So he played Fulgrim, and then he found out he couldn't play Fulgrim as a Loyalist. Yep. So he transformed his Fulgrim into a Praetor.
Wow.
I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? And I thought that was really cool. You know, he didn't have him today or yesterday. But, yeah, he did a really damn good job and stuff. Darren, I mean, like, he came out of BC. He traveled 2.5 hours to come and play.
Man, a lot of good on him, man. A lot of these armies just look awesome. The Mechanicum, the Imperial Fists, they look just spectacular.
Yeah, we were spoiled. That was kind of funny because we had 2 Imperial Fist armies show up. The one Mechanicum guy is Paul Bullitt. He's he's actually a good friend of mine, and I appreciate he's always at every event. Him and Alex both, and yeah, his armies. He's got 3. The Emperor's Problem Children. You've seen that bright pink with the white stripes.
Yep,
that's his army as well. He's got a Iron Hands. Yeah, Iron Hands army as well. And just these guys. I am spoiled on how well these armies turned out.
And even
stuff.
That's actually pretty badass that Alex Pappas is doing Talons of the Emperor. Last time I saw him was with World Eaters in Vegas, man. But his custodes, they look fantastic.
Yeah, he won Best Painted again with that army. Actually, and I'm sorry if you guys are listening and get discouraged by this, but it should be something to build up to. He doubled everybody. The second place winner, he did doubled. Over half of the players voted for him.
Wow.
For being Best Painted. So
yeah, they look spectacular. Alex, you did a good job, man. Those look great.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. We had a couple of guys with like I said, the Imperial Fist. We had a newer player named Sean. I played him. We had that Zone Mortalis that game last time we talked last episode. He was the Imperial Fist player. Does a very good job. His breachers are amazing. He had a lot of fun. And the other one, Jason Marcel, he's out of Seattle. His Imperial Fist has always been immaculate. So, but Alex and Paul had won first and second Best Painted. So
good.
And then we had the most crazy event that happened, or thing that happened during all the games. You know, they gave a guy $50 prize for that. His Predator had lived 4 rounds through Russ.
Really?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Russ, we had 2 Lehman Russ to show up, and they owned. Don't start yawning on me, man. I'm not that bored.
But no, I'm not. I'm not. Jerk.
So.
That's awesome, though, man. Like, that's really impressive, especially with how well Russ is at just singly nuking characters, man.
Oh, I know. We had a lot of fun event. Things happen. So the Custodes, everybody knows they're pretty badass, right? I believe Alex only won 2 games. He played them very well. He mishapped a couple of his teleporting things, but he actually went up against the Night Lord's player. Thank you, Andy, for doing this for me. He one-shotted his commander.
Really?
Because he got instant death. He's like, "You don't have Eternal Warrior." Wow.
Wow.
Stabbed him in the eyeball, and down he went. So it was like, take it, bitch. Night Lords still rule.
That is awesome.
So, it was like, but I actually got to play my Night Lord list against my coworker. I'm like, let me show you how. Because he's whooped my ass. This kid, I let him beat me. I'm like, okay, I'm going to teach you how to play now. He's like, oh, I whooped you. I slaughtered him. I'm like, now I need like, I'm sorry, but that's what you get for not playing a painted army. So
You're just like, take a back seat, bud. You got some things to learn yet.
Yep. Kerr's whooped ass. But he was playing almost an identical army for he played Dark Angels, but I had him playing Black Shields faction so he can play a traitor. But he's just like, we had almost identical. We both had Fire Raptors, both had Storm Eagles with Terminators. He had jet bikes, I had Kerrs with a jump unit.
Yep.
So I'm like, you're gonna die. It's okay. So it was fun.
That's badass, man. It sounds like you've had a more eventful 2 weeks than I have, man. I haven't. I want to play, but it's just every time I get a chance, I'm like, oh, I can play a game tonight. Then all of a sudden, I get called in or get sent out of town. I've been pulling a lot of 20-hour back-to-back shifts. It's been really killing me on playing any games.
Yeah, that's why I get your text. I'm like, dude, I feel for you. That's like, I think you're the only person I know that works more hours than I do, and I just. The hobby has to take a backseat to real life.
Sadly, but it'll come back around. At least I get a chance to finish these commissions and then move back to my stuff, which I've got some pretty cool lists. One of them, so actually I did kind of lie. I did have some hobby progress on my point. I did get some more units for my Raven Guard. So I talked about it. Well, I talked about it last episode. I'm not going to start my 1,000 Suns until I get my other 2 legions done. And I'm going to paraphrase that.
He's doing air quotes, people.
Yeah, well, so basically the way that I see a legion being done is if I can run at least 5 different rites of war with them, then to me it's
5?
Yeah.
What do you need to run 5?
So I can change it. If I get bored with one, I can go to another one.
Okay, fair enough.
So like my Salamander one, I can run Covenant of Fire, Orbital Assault, Pride of the Legion, Primarch's Chosen, and I could run March of the Ancients. So with the models that I got now, I have enough to do that Legion that way. And then there's enough units in there too that I can change out certain units if I don't like how this is built. Like I got flexibility. I don't like being stuck with like having a certain amount of units and then going, crap, I wish I had this. I'd rather just bulk buy, do all of it, and then I just have versatility and I can do what I want to do.
Yeah.
The Raven Guard, I've got enough to do Decapitation Strike, Orbital Assault, Angel's Wrath, Vanguard Assault, and Pride of the Legion. And I could also do Primarch's Chosen if I wanted to, but it's really for Pride of the Legion. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. But what's cool though is so there's no model for Katie's necks, right?
Who?
Katie's necks he's our special character Moritat, the guy with the fulcrum hand cannons.
Okay.
Basically he's the only Moritat that can use this. Yeah, he's the only Moritat that can use his pistols in hand-to-hand combat too. So he can like just yeah. They're strength 4 rending bolt pistols, like black powder pistols, but he's the only guy that can go in combat and just start face punking everybody with his pistols, right?
Okay.
So, but there's no model for him. And when the new Moritat model got leaked, it had the one, remember the one that had the 2 bolt pistols and they had the belt feed coming off the back?
Yeah.
I was like, perfect, that's Katie's necks. Awesome. No problem. Just gotta wait for it to come out. Then the model came out and all they had were Volkite and Plasma. So it wasn't going to work. So what I did was I bought the new Cypher model.
Okay.
And I changed out his backpack. So he's got a Mark III backpack. He doesn't have the Dark Angel stuff on him. All the Dark Angel stuff's been trimmed. And I've converted pistols for him with using well, originally I was going to use the hand flamers and bolt pistols, like cut in half and put together. But my buddy Colin Agni had some Archaeotech pistols, and he had like these 1 Archaeotech pistols. I don't know where they come from. I think it's from the Templar Brethren, but they look like black powder pistols. So I got a couple of those from him. So, but yeah, he may not look per fluff how the photo was that they drew up for Katie's necks, but I just like the Cypher model because he looks all cloaked and he looks more assassin-like.
Yeah.
So I got that done, and I finally got Corvus Corax, and I've got some Outrider bikes and stuff, so I can flesh out that Legion and then get that all taken care of. So I guess I've had some hobby progress. Just not a whole lot of painting, just procuring.
Yeah, procuring is part of it though, because I just Evan Smith down here, he got me 10 Archaeotech missiles in a trade and stuff. It's for my sisters and stuff, which I'm starting to procure now because I ran out of bits to continue building on. So, but I actually got a buddy of mine who did a Kickstarter for what the hell's the name of it? Doesn't matter. The game never actually came to fruition, but he got the models anyway. But it's a ton of weapon bits for women at 28 millimeter with armored hands, and so he said he'd probably be sending me those. But
nice.
Procurement's a huge part of the hobby because honestly, I'm sitting stagnant right now because I've got a bunch of sisters that I need hop-handed weapons for, and mind you, right-handed and left-handed off-weapon weapons.
Yep.
And if once everybody starts going into that, they're like, oh yeah, there's bits everywhere. If you've ever seen a sister's model with a freaking combat blade, you tell me that that's outrageous.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. It's like a freaking short sword. We all know that that's not the way it's supposed to look.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like, when did sisters start getting gladiuses?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, here, have a bastard sword. Go chase people. It's like, It doesn't work that way.
Well, another thing too. On that note, you're talking about offhanded weapons. I've been adding on too. So I've got all these salamanders here that I got to finish up, but I'm making a bunch of different sergeants. I'll show you them in the camera here.
Yeah, those look amazing, dude.
Thank you.
Hammer, sword, and power fist.
All of them got cloaks and stuff. The salamander cloaks.
Did you make those?
No, these are actually from Spellcrow. If you've never checked them out for conversion bits, they have an awesome array of stuff for salamanders, dark angels, space wolves, and knights. So like if you have like Black Templars or whatever.
Okay.
But they sell cloaks that are either like salamander skinned or wolf pelted or chainmail.
Chainmail would look good with Death Guard.
Mm-hmm. So, and they got tabards too. So like not just cloaks, but they got tabards as well. But no, I'm fleshing out my salamanders, having a bunch of different options for sergeants. And my thought process was, for one, I've been doing the Power Fist, Power Axe thing. And I've been learning in my last 2 years of playing these guys that if I'm ever in close combat, I'm already in a bad spot with them. Yeah. So I'm making a bunch of guys with like combi flamers and power weapons, or combi meltas and power weapons. Because I think, or Inferno pistols and combi and power weapons. I feel like they should be more shooty than close combat-y, just because of the bust we have for flamer weapons and melta weapons.
Okay.
So I'm going to run that and try that a while. But the other part of it is too is that if that doesn't work out, I could always use them as a command squad.
That's genius.
Yeah.
I did that with my Seeker squad and my tacticals for my Night Lords. So.
Yep. So it's like, if I come to find out that I don't want my sergeants to be kitted out that way, well, guess what? I can put all my sergeant variants together, and boom, now I got a command squad full of combi weapons and power weapons. Perfect.
See? Flexibility.
Yep. Flexibility. So.
Damn. I would have never thought of that.
Well, it's whenever I usually build on something, I always think of dual purpose. I don't like having a unit that's stuck doing one thing. So I try to versatilize because I don't like buying a bunch of crap. But I do.
But yet you do.
I do.
Yeah,
yeah, but I do. So it doesn't really matter.
It's like we had a guy ask, "What's their hobby room look like?" I said, "A hurricane that had rough sex with a tornado."
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, that bad? I go, "Oh, it's horrible. You'll never see pictures."
Yeah,
scattered from one end of the room to the other.
Like with me, dude, I have a roommate for the hobby, but I'm turning the whole downstairs of my house into like just a hobby area because I've got this hobby room, which is just paints and air booths and storage for bits and stuff, and something that I'm working on this next month. So our YouTube channel, I made that battle report and I posted it, right? And we got a good amount of views from it, but there was something that I learned from that is I would much rather record battle reports in a controlled environment rather than a random environment.
Yeah.
And so what I'm doing is I'm turning my downstairs rec room into a filming studio.
Nice.
So it's basically just going to be a room that's going to have, black curtains for the windows, so it's completely blacked out. And then I have a bunch of just Warhammer artwork that just kind of hangs around. So it's going to be decked out Warhammer artwork. I procured some secondhand love seats. I've got a beer fridge down there now. I've got my computer, my desktop computer, and I'm a wall-mounted TV on the back wall. So if we want to, I could hook my computer to the TV and we can keep a scoreboard up on the wall.
Oh, nice.
Right? So like if you score, you can just walk by the computer and just be like tap tap tap, and then it's up on the wall so everyone sees it. You're not writing down on paper or trying to do math at the end, right? Or you can play music in the background or whatever you want to do. And the next week or so, I'm gonna get the lumber to build a 4x8 table with room on both sides to put stuff on the table and then a shelf underneath. And then I'm going to start with all these new terrain kits that Games Workshop came out with recently. I'm going to procure all those terrain kits and then make like thematic factory worlds and hive cities. So when
it's going to be beautiful, man.
That's the plan. That's the goal. So once I can get all this done, which I hope is by the end of June, then I'll be able to more steadily release more battle reports, and they'll have a better quality to them as well. It won't be so random or trying to find a place to play or playing at a store where you have background noise. It'll be me and my opponent. We're in a controlled environment. We have a good table to play off of. It's quiet. We have alcohol. It's going to go smoother. Yeah, I see that you're empty.
Nice. I'm empty.
So we better wrap this up. Sorry, guys. The episode's over. Dave doesn't have any booze. We're done.
That's right. My bourbon's gone.
No, so that's kind of the plan. So for anybody that did like that one little battle report I did, I do plan on doing more. Just I got to get this gaming room set up first. So that takes time and money, and the time part I don't have a whole lot of. But once that gets done, you'll be seeing more of it.
Yeah, and I need to learn how to do it. Rob's going to be kind enough to tell me how at some point. I was going to do a battle report for this last event. Unfortunately, Chaos took advantage of me and I got raped. So it was not a good day.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as recording things, because there was so much going on. Magic release. A lot of us know if any game store, Magic is a big moneymaker. That always takes priority over Horus Heresy because it's not a moneymaker for the store.
Right.
As much as Magic should be. And so.
No.
But, yeah, that's awesome, Rob. Yeah, you actually have inspired me to do something like that too. I was looking at that battle reports. My wife is actually subscribed to the 30 Northwest 30K YouTube for us and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I did that for more viewers. I get you watch. She goes, a little bit. I'm like, are you serious? I never thought this is the same woman who went up to me in my first tournament with a brick of 50 dice and said atomic bomb and freaked the shit out of the guy I was playing as she dropped 50 dice onto the table, destroying everything. So yeah, I get it. It's like good, yeah, definitely the YouTube channel. Please check it out. That's where we release these podcasts now, and I've actually subscribed to it. I'm trying.
Yeah, no. I mean, the YouTube channel. I have to say, when I first started that, I got a little too overzealous, and then life kind of did what it did. But it's definitely not on the back burner. Just I have to make a balance, and in order to make good quality content for what I foresee that channel doing, I got to get a little bit more set up for it. I need to get a better camera, a better mic, a better gaming atmosphere, and then once I can achieve those things, which like I said, should be this summer, then the content will be coming back out. I kind of bit a little more than I could chew with it, but it's easily handled. And another thing I want to do too with the YouTube channel in the future, some people may have noticed on our page that I made those fast track rapier turrets from the Cataphrone Destroyer kit, which I actually bummed off of Richard Johnson when he did it a year ago. I'm actually going to start doing product reviews for certain conversion kits that a lot of these third-party guys are making for Heresy units, and I'm also going to start making videos
Nice.
for conversion or kit bashing, different plastic kits or resin kits to make certain heresy units. So I'll start working on that too. But again, I can't give a release date. It's going to be sometime this summer. But I have some goals with that channel. Just I need some time to do it.
Yeah, that's something I think we both should do because we have two different contacts. I use PS Studios.
Yep.
And stuff. A guy out of Russia. Now, mind you, he's not a recaster. He completely handcrafts all of his Night Lord stuff. He does Space Wolf conversions. If you guys have seen my chaplains and whatnot, you can see the skin cloaks. I had a couple guys ask me actually Saturday about him. Yeah, it comes out of Russia.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the guy is amazing as far as like a special helmets, and so you definitely Rob and I will definitely be pumping up more and more of that, and I think it's time for me to step up into that respect. It's help Rob out now. He's like, Rob, you're an amazing guy, and if anybody ever asks who does Northwest 30K Boxcast, the events for Northwest 30K in the Seattle area, Rob actually promotes the Boxcast. He does the YouTube stuff. It's not me. So it's like he deserves all the credit for this. Yes, I have a bigger following in one way, but honestly, he's the guy that makes this happen. So, thank you, Rob.
Well, thanks.
So
no problem.
So if anybody ever asks, that's why Rob actually it is Rob's show because he puts forth his effort and he has the know-how. I am just an organizer, and I happen to know a lot of people.
Well, well, we complement each other, and that's why this kicked off in the first place, right?
That's true. We didn't even know each other when we started this.
Yeah, it was literally just out of third party chatting, and then all of a sudden we're like, wait a minute, we're both bald, we should probably talk more often. And then we found out that we both like liquor, and then that just kind of steamrolled. So,
you did slip me a Mickey, you son of a bitch. Don't
yeah.
No, that's exactly it. And it just people got to realize, it's. I know this is a group effort, a 30K in the Northwest, but, let's see, dead airspace. I was trying to collect my thoughts. Is building a community like this and doing this is a moment of truth, doing that whole YouTube thing,
mm-hmm.
It's intimidating as shit for me. That's like, I was sitting there looking at them like, no. So, but when you built the YouTube channel and doing the Boxcast, it's more of a challenge than people I think realize. And it's one thing to say, hey, I'm going to run an event. People show up, you run the event. That's easy because people go home, and that is it. Horus Heresy is totally different.
Well, I think to comment on that, I think what makes anything difficult when you're talking about the podcast or moderating a Facebook page or updating a YouTube channel or producing content or creating events is it's not so much the work itself that makes it difficult. It's the fact that it is additional work upon your normal life. And if anybody out there thinks, I mean, a lot of people have different lifestyles, but for many of you that have just one job and you think about the stress of having a second job, imagine the stress of a second job, but you're not making any money at it. And that's really what makes it so difficult. It's not so much you're not being rewarded with your efforts because you are with community and growth and networking, but it is that many extra hours a week that you have to invest out of your own free time, away from family, away from wants, needs, and obligations to make that happen for the benefit of everybody else because you solely choose to do that. And I think that's what makes it so hard. I mean, learning how programs work, learning how sites work and IPing and all that stuff, that's not difficult because you can learn anything you want to. We've all wanted a new video game, learn how to play it in a week. It's not a big deal. But it's taking the time and being diligent with your time to do it. That's what makes it so difficult.
That's true. And it's like, you come to that realization of, think about it. Yeah, in the last month, after the invitational, it's like popping up another event within a month and planning out an entire campaign.
Mm-hmm.
You just like, and then work piles on and real life piles on. You're realizing time is slipping away. I appreciate the support we get from the community as a whole. No
Mhm.
questions asked about that. And we've not had any complaints. I mean, we've had constructive criticism, at least at my events.
Yeah.
You know, and it's encouraging, and that's what keeps it going. It's like I almost, this is the real life moment of, is it really worth it? And it is, and to a point. It's like we realize real life takes precedent over the game because it is a game. But
Well, that
is
and that's I mean on that too. It's why we kind of run the motto of we release a bi-monthly podcast and not a bi-weekly, because we can do 2 episodes in a month. We just don't know when exactly those episodes will be because, well, if I'm going to be honest, I would like to idolize my spare time more towards painting and gaming than doing the podcast, but I'm still going to get it in there. But if work
what?
yeah, right. You son of a. But if work or life gets in the way of that, man, all that other shit just goes in the back burner.
Oh yeah, and that's exactly it. This is our moment of thanking the community for supporting us to where we are. But I don't know why I got all real all of a sudden. It's the liquor. Son of a bitch.
Yeah,
Should not drink during
it's because you're
this.
drinking whiskey, man. You get all like good time Charlie to all of a sudden all serious Tim. It's just like
My bourbon made me
so.
serious.
So you know what? Speaking about being serious, let's do get serious here for a minute about a topic that's been the rage of social media for the last week.
Let me guess. 8th edition.
Yes. Yeah. Let's discuss about that. And I only say let's discuss about that because it will pertain to us eventually. And let's just be honest, everybody else is talking about it, so let's just throw our hat in the ring and get our opinions out there on that.
Okay. Let me start out by saying, for one, I started out 6th edition. I think I've made that abundantly clear since we started the podcast.
Yep.
8th edition is very similar to 2nd edition.
Yep.
Which I know nothing about.
So
when I'm reading this stuff, it's kind of going over my head.
So I started in 3rd edition right when it came out. And so I had the luxury of hearing the opinions of 2nd edition, and 3rd edition still had some stuff from 2nd edition in it. Let's just come out with a disclaimer first. We already know from Games Workshop's Q&A that the Horus Heresy is not going to be adapted into 8th edition yet.
That's correct.
What does that mean? My personal opinion on that matter is either A, they too plan to make Heresy 8th edition indefinitely, and that it's not going to happen within at least a year before it actually does happen, because they got to have time for Forge World Studios to catch up all the books and Angelus to become it. I also believe my second opinion on that is that they're actually going to wait and see what 8th edition does for popularity before they make that commitment. And I'm more leaning towards that one, because if that wasn't the case, then they would have delayed the release of Inferno.
Yeah.
That's my only opinion on that one. They wouldn't have released Inferno 4 months prior to 8th edition releasing if they didn't already have the mindset of we're going to stick to 7th edition for a while, and we're going to see what 8th edition does before we commit to it. That's my opinion. What is your opinion on that one, Dave?
I actually had an hour and a half discussion about this at lunch yesterday with a couple guys from different areas. I think the overall, in my personal opinion, I don't think we're going to see a change till Book 8. And when Book 8 drops, we'll see a red book that will basically explain the rules for us to fit toward the future of Horus Heresy. As far as what I hear about Warhammer 40K, what's been released about the shooting and the extra wounds and all that, getting rid of armor values and the toughness and being able to do more strength, 14 damage and whatnot, I think it's kind of cool because it makes more sense.
Yep.
Mind you, I had 6th and 7th edition are very much armor based and AP values, so I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around it. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty cool. We were talking about the assault marines.
Uh-huh.
As I play an assault army, Night Lords. I can with Angelus, we're gonna see our Blood Angels. We're very much in a jump troop assault army.
Yep.
Being able to shoot while you're in combat is gonna be freaking insane.
But
And that excites me, but scares the shit out of me at the same time.
But we'll caption that with saying it's only pistols that can do that. So
that's correct. The assault troops don't carry bolters.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing with the 8th edition rules is that I'm seeing a very nice scale check of balances between shooting units and assault units to where both are equally viable. It's more of a matter of what is your army, what does it do, and how do you like to play. Because shooting units can shoot, and that's great. They also can move more now and shoot because heavy weapons don't snap fire anymore. They're just -1 to hit. So it makes shooting units more mobile, which is more pleasurable for somebody who is a shooting-focused kind of a person. The downside to shooting units is if they're locked in combat, they can get away the next turn, but they also can't shoot that turn. They also cannot shoot at an enemy unit that's within 1 inch of them, like you can now. Where an assault unit that's going to be...
so here's the flip side to that. You add not only shooting, but you also you get rid of all armor values.
Yeah.
So you now have a Reaver Titan, let's say, with 28 frickin' wounds. A Marine could take him down. Which is funny because I believe the way the stats hit, you have to roll 6 3 times in a row to destroy a armor of 14. That's still... You have a 20-man unit. It's possible. Well, you only need
I mean that the stat line for the armored units is kind of a different subject, because talking about the shooting units and their deficit against other enemy units, where assault units benefit from is when you charge, you get to strike first regardless. So there's that. If they're armed with pistols, which, let's be honest, any assault unit's gonna have a pistol variant in it, they can shoot an enemy unit that's within 1 inch of them. They also can get locked in combat in their own shooting phase, shoot their pistols out of combat to a different unit. So all of a sudden, assault units are better at shooting at close range than a shooting unit would. So it does a balance and check there between assault units and shooting units. Now, the vehicle stat line, what I like about it, if Heresy does go 8th edition, is you ever played a game of Zone Mortalis? And, and you brought veteran tactical Marines, right? And your opponent brings Cataphractic Terminators and a Contemptor, and you immediately go, shit, like I can handle the Terminators, but I don't know what I'm gonna do with that Contemptor, right? Like I have a Melt-A-Gun and a Power Fist. That's my only chance to kill it, right?
That's correct.
Well, with 8th edition rules, all of a sudden it's equal playing field still, because you can still you can negative the armor modifier, you can negatively armor modify the Cataphracti, and your bolters still have a chance. It's a very slim chance, but they have a chance to kill that Contemptor. Will 5 bolters do it? No. Will 10 bolters do it? No. Can 30 bolters fire in a couple of shooting phases do it? Probably. So it equalizes it immediately.
Yeah, and we ran into that. I'll actually give an example. I ran 4 Zone Mortalis Sports yesterday at our Tides of the Corrupted event, and we had an Imperial Fist player. And was playing 1,000 Suns. Gets surrounded. He surrounds a Contemptor. He goes, well, can I strike black armor? No. It's a walker. Rule state, you're always hitting front armor. Armor 13. His tacticals can't do shit.
Nope.
He's like, well, what do I do now? And mind you, and this gentleman has come back from playing 2nd edition. He was asking about rules, and I'm like going way over my head, and I'm like, and after you and I talked, I'm like, this sounds very familiar.
Mm-hmm.
It makes more sense why he was asking what he was asking. And so with this coming back for the gentlemen who have played 2nd edition, the old veterans of Warhammer, I believe you're going to really love 8th edition. And I think it's going to make more sense, because it would have been beneficial to him yesterday going up against the Contemptor. Otherwise, his tacticals can't do shit. But no, now they'd have been able to.
So another thing that I like about 8th edition, so far that we know about, and the idea of Heresy becoming 8th edition, is you are no longer stuck with your Legion making its rules based off of blanket rules that affect everybody. What I mean by that is today we have so many universal special rules that affect everybody in different ways that Forge has to put a lot of effort in how they write the rules for Legion to counteract those
Mhm.
rules to make them effective for how they were like in the fluff. With 8th edition, there's only going to be 12 pages worth of rules. And they're free. 12 pages of core rules.
Okay.
All the other rules for your army are going to be found in your army's codex.
That makes sense.
What that allows people like Forge to do with writing rules is when you only have 12 pages of core rules, which basically just explain the game dynamics itself, and that's it, and the mechanics of the game, that means they can literally take legions and write their own rules and their own movements and their own types within the legion, and not have to be subject to how the main game works and just trying to adapt to that. You could see it as splitting hairs, but I feel like it'd give a lot more freedom to the writers to making rules for an individual faction or legion than it would be having to adapt the universal rules, the shackles of which, and make them work in a way to where your army is supposed to sort of act the way it does. Another thing I like about it is with the changes to the assault uh, phase of the game, with the changes of heavy weapons, with the changes of save modifiers and such, you no longer will have units that are going to become auto takes.
Yeah.
You won't see armies go, I have to bring a Whirlwind Scorpius, or armies going, I have to bring a Spartan. I have to bring a Leviathan to deal with this. There will be no X will take care of Y, and that's why I have to bring it. Now, will X be better at killing Y than the other letters in the alphabet? Well, of course, that's what they're geared towards. But you'll never have a game to where if your key units that had a certain job function get killed, all of a sudden the rest of your army's on a back for the rest of the game.
Yep.
You'll never have that problem now. Now, does it mean you're going to have an easy time dealing with those targets if your specific units that had a certain job get killed? Well, no, of course not. But now everyone is a viable target. It now will be more forced on the tacticians of the general running the army and how he made that army than exactly how the rules of that individual unit will affect the game and play into those benefits.
Yeah, and I agree with that 100%. And I'll give an example. I was asked yesterday also, how would you feel about a Leviathan list? Now, I've kind of skimmed over the Leviathan list. I didn't realize you could bring a Reaver Titan with Scutaria and stuff on their protectors. I told the dude, go for it. With 8th edition, basically, yeah, Reavers are scary as shit, especially in 7th edition. How would you deal with the Reaver? It's got 12 hull points or 14 hull points.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they go down pretty quick if you know how to deal with it. If you're not, as a Night Lord player, I couldn't deal with it. I would die badly. But there are guys out there who have their drop pod heavy melted lists. They come out, they pop out, boom, it's dead, whatever. So that'll open up lists to where I don't ever limit anybody at my events. I allow any list, any Rite of War, as far as Horus Heresy goes at Northwest 30K events. So, and it'll make it more viable. I don't think you'll see any limitations as far as Shattered Legions and other groups and whatnot.
Yeah.
So,
and
I'm looking forward to it. If it does happen, I think it's going to be awesome. I'm not too scared about it. This would be my second edition change, but I played Necrons and it benefited me then. It's going to benefit me now, I'm pretty sure.
So some other things that I can appreciate with 8th edition that I think will be carried over well in Heresy, and I know a lot of people feel very strongly about Heresy and 8th edition and stuff, but just hear me out on this. You're going to have scenarios. You will no longer have scenarios where your 700 or 800 point unit inside of a Spartan is going to get blown up turn 1. That won't be a thing anymore. You also won't see Night Titans blowing up turn 1 and then cascading over to other units and blowing them up as well. Also, with templates going away in 8th edition, you'll no longer spend 20 minutes trying to figure out what a quad mortar did to your unit.
Thank God.
You will also not have to worry about Phosphex doing what it does. You also won't have to worry about, when you are firing artillery, having that conversation with your opponent on exactly how many hits you got with the template. You also eliminate the risk of reaching over the table with a template around a bunch of resin models and risking breaking one of them. Those all go away. Those are all no longer a problem, which will ironically speed up the game as well. Now, with that being said, what I do like on a different footing, what I do like about the 8th edition changes and us not being affected right away is it effectively drew the line in the sand where 30K is no longer an expansion of 40K. 30K is now its own game. 30K is now isolated. It is its own deal.
Yep.
I think sales in the next 9 months are going to dictate what they're going to do with the heresy, because I could also equally see them taking 7th edition rules, making adaptations to 7th edition rules to make it more streamlined and work with the heresy, and then just releasing a red book for core rules.
Oh yeah, that makes sense, and I expect that with book 8.
Yep. I can also see by second quarter of Games Workshop's calendar year, Horus Heresy taking the mantle of the third core game that Games Workshop stores support. Now that The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings have now gone under the flag of Forge World, and the popularity of the Horus Heresy itself, and now that there's so many Horus Heresy kits now becoming plastic, I can also equally see Horus Heresy becoming just a mainline game for Games Workshop as a third runner.
And that would make sense for more of the mature players, per se.
Yep.
I don't mean it as in like 40K players are immature by any means. I'm thinking about the more fantasy line and rank type mentality versus AOS.
I think any kind of theories right now, like actual trying to lean on a theory is improbable right now, because Games Workshop set themselves up in a way now to where they have multiple viable options open to them. What's going to dictate to them going forward now is sales. That's what's going to tell them what they're going to do next. I think all those directives that I just talked about with Heresy are all viable, but it's all going to come down to what does the community do and what do sales do, and that's going to dictate what happens to its direction. It could easily be 8th edition. It could easily just take its own adaptation of rules. It could easily just become a mainline game. What I do like now, though, is that the Games Workshop effectively gave a quote-unquote out for people who were zealot about 7th edition and didn't like the 8th edition rules. They could easily just change over to playing in the Heresy and still have the rules that they're used to. And I think they're going to monitor that as well. So,
you know, to kind of add to that, you think about it, they're talking about doing a Xenos release for Heresy.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good way to do it.
Yep.
We can get our Eldar. We can deal with our NIDS, basically, for Planet Murder. I just, in that respect, it opens up a whole other world.
Yep.
About the Reddick campaign. So
they set themselves up very well for this year. Now it's a matter of what do we as a community do going forward. That's going to tell them what they're going to do next.
Yeah. They released that video today about Gilliman creating his own Marines, basically, to replace the ones that had been lost.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to see those true scale Marines, per se.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting. I mean, we could speculate, like you said, all we want with Horus Heresy, but 40K is definitely moving forward one way or the other.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll be honest, like I swore off 40K not too long ago because of just how crazy the rules got, but 8th edition does have me excited to play 40K again. I have an Imperial Guard army and I've got a Cult Mechanicus army sitting on a shelf that I'd be more than willing to try again if the rules were fixed. And I said that from the get-go. Half the reason why I got into the Heresy so hardcore is because 40K became such a convoluted mess, I got tired of dealing with it.
Yeah.
So certainly I'm equally as excited too. I mean, I'm kind of like a kid waiting on Christmas. But well,
it's funny. I'm gonna throw this out there. It's like when I just sold all my Necrons. All of them are gone, so I actually only have Marines and Knights. And it's like, I really want to play Tyranids. I always have. I love the models. And so I'm like, but it's funny, I think 4 other guys at the event yesterday want to play Tyranids too.
Yep.
So it's like the craziest army of all Xenos races. Everybody's like, they suck in 40K right now, but by God, now everyone wants to play them. So I think it's kind of cool. We love our Horde armies.
I'm in that boat as well, man. When I first started 40K, I had an Ultramarines army that was given to me from a local player that was very well painted. And I bought I started a Tyranid army. That was from all the old pewter Tyranids from third edition. Those are my 2 armies that I started with in 40K. So yeah,
Nice.
I'd love to play bugs again.
Oh yeah, it's like I think it's going to open it up for us. I want to do a couple murder campaigns as well. I think that'll be amazing. So I don't know. It's like as a Night Lord player, I really see 8th edition being a very beneficial thing for me.
Yep.
So I don't know about the armored breakthrough and all those guys, the armor spearheads. Our list would be a little more effective in that respect. It'd be bad for them.
No, it'd be better for them because their vehicles can't get one-shotted.
That's true.
Yeah.
No penetrating hits with D6 and boom pop.
No immobilize. Like they're just their stats will decrease as they get more wounded. But we already know they've already leaked that to take out a Land Raider, you would need around like 500 las guns to take out a Land Raider. They said that on their community
500,
page.
500 las guns?
Yeah.
How many freaking wounds does a damn Land Raider have?
Apparently, a Land Raider has dozens. So does a Knight.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But
I don't know if I'm so excited about this now.
But as you wound them, the weaker they get.
Yeah. That's true.
So it's not a matter of like they're gonna ride around with 1 wound and still be acting at full readiness. No, I guarantee you, once they get to a certain wound chart, all of a sudden they're gonna be hitting on 6s. They can only move half movement and can't tank shock, and it's just they're just gonna be like this crippled mass. You could actually get them wounded bad enough to where you just ignore them now and move on.
Fair enough.
But you'll never see a tank now get one shot and all of a sudden I'm stuck here the whole game or I get blown up. Great.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like I had a Storm Eagle go down. The guy I was playing against, I shot it out of sky immediately as it came in. Freaking lost all but 4 of the 10 Terminators.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to make me happy because I do the same boat. I love my flying armies. So, yeah.
I honestly, so far from what I've read, I only see good things out of it. It's going to make rules. It's going to make games quicker. You're going to spend less time having to go through rules and trying to figure out things work. And let's talk about their command structure. Command structure. So, unlike 7th edition, where you have 1 Force Org chart, or Horus Heresy, where you have 3 of them, 40K is going to have 14. 14 different Force Org charts. But the Force Org charts, though, are going to replicate the quote-unquote Decarian detachments that we're used to in 40K. To where basically, like, there's different tiers of Force Org charts, and each one's going to have its own minimum requirement, which is going to be more and more units, right?
Yeah.
But it's a Battle Force Org chart, which means that Force Org chart has to come from one faction, right? Each Force Org chart, as it increases, gives you more of what they call command points. And these command points are special abilities that your army can use, only your army, so not everyone shares the same ones, that are 1 use only per game to help steer the tide of a battle, right? But you as a general have to think about how you're going to use these. You don't replenish them or anything. The bright side is that when I say faction, it's kind of like AOS, where they have their grand alliances. In 40K, they have factions now where it's Imperium, Chaos, and Xenos. Those can't ally across. So you'll never see Xenos allying with Chaos. You can't ally Xenos in with Imperium. You can't do that, right? And then when you do ally within your faction, you have to make those minimum Force Org chart requirements, which means it takes more effort with your allies to even get command benefits, which is what you want in the first place. So they reward people to have competitive armies by building them in a thematic way, which I think that's going to be a huge benefactor as well.
Oh, I agree. It's like I think you and I were talking about let's say you do Chaos Space Marines and you want to do Khorne. You have a Khorne chosen with a Khorne this and a Khorne that, a Bloodthirster. Everything's Khorne. It gives you the better benefits. I want a Slaanesh Sorcerer because they get more warp charges, blah, freaking blah.
Right. Or you will no longer see things where you have like Tau or Eldar allied in with Marines allied with Inquisition. You won't be seeing that kind of stuff, right? You won't be seeing like these weird convoluted Death Star masses. And the other cool thing on that too, what they did talk about in the Q&A, is that special abilities that independent characters will grant will be keyword effective.
Yeah.
So
I remember hearing that.
Yeah, so unlike before where it's like, if it hit he and his unit gain the Shrouded Special rule, now it'll say things like he and any unit of Dark Angels he joins will have the Shrouded Special rule.
Okay.
Right? So you can't take all these different characters from different factions and put them all together and make a Death Star anymore.
So basically, what they're doing right now is no longer viable.
Yeah, gone.
Good. That's good because I've heard nothing but complaints about that. I think we were talking about that with LVO. Some guys were like, "Yeah, I run a Salamanders list, but I have a guy from Space Wolves, a guy that's like Cypher, a guy that's from Ultramarines with a couple Centurions," and you're like, "What?"
Yeah.
So
I mean, we'll wait to see what the release does, but I see nothing but good coming from this. And for anybody who's stuck on the sky is falling and all this doom, there's nothing bad
don't
going
be.
on right now. Yeah, there's you're gonna see more attention with 40K in the next 2 months in your local gaming groups, which is fair because it's a new edition. But whichever way this turns out, it's only gonna be anything but good for us in the heresy. Like either we're gonna get our own rules and be our own game finally, or we're gonna take on a better rule system that's gonna make the game run smoother and cleaner, which is great.
hmm
There's nothing bad that's gonna come from this.
Yeah, and it's I've talked to a couple guys. We're talking about the black books. We pay $120. You realize that I say 95% of those books are fluff. That's why you're buying the book in the first place.
Yeah.
So don't think that that's really going to influence you because it's not.
Mm-hmm.
The red books have all the rules in them. Red books are $40. It's no more. It's cheaper than actually buying a codex even for us. So don't be surprised if we do see it. Don't be worried about it. It's not worth it right now. I was talking to a gamer group too. Is that they're like, well, what are you going to do with 8th edition dropping? That means all the FAQs that affect 40K are out the window.
Yep.
Your veteran squads, each of them will have a melta bomb again. You should be happy.
Yep.
Because I'm going to go back to that. I figure you pay for it, you get to use it. And the only reason I haven't allowed it is because the FAQs. So now that 8th edition is dropping, I think it's dropping in July. Mm-hmm. Am I correct in that? That's June. What they recommend. They say
June's what I
June,
heard.
July. So let's say it drops before my event. You bring a veteran squad, and everybody's got melta bombs. Awesome.
Yep.
You got 10 melta bombs, baby. Use them. So
actually, what's funny too is that would technically make my Raven Guard worse because now I don't get that preferred enemy carryover.
Yeah, I get rid of all that,
mm-hmm.
and that's because heresy is different enough in 40K in that respect, but we have to abide by the rules of that 7th edition rulebook.
That also means knights get better again.
What's that?
That also means knights get better again. They're not stuck to that 45-degree firing angle.
Yeah, that was a shooting arc, though. I agree with you. I honestly believe I love Imperial Knights, and I believe they should have a 180 firing arc.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sorry, they're on freaking turrets. Those arms do not go straight forward.
Yep.
You shoot behind you. They're machines, for God's sake. I play a Fire Raptor. The way I play the Fire Raptors in my events is that those turrets have a full 180 arc
mm-hmm.
down the side of that hull.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, well, they don't do that. I'm like, they do here. And if you don't like it, don't play a Fire Raptor or don't play against them. I look at the AC-30, the U.S. plays with, as far as military, they have a full fucking 180 arc.
Yep.
So will a Fire Raptor. So will a Knight.
Yep.
So,
well,
I try to play it as realistic as possible. It's a fantasy game, but it's like, come on, man, common sense.
Well, and we'll see too. Who knows? On 8th edition release, Forge World might just take their own FAQ and expand upon it, which is going to be needed. Inferno needs to get an FAQ anyways, and they said there was going to be an FAQ for Inferno. They might just drop that FAQ with a huge rounding list of FAQs right when 8th edition drops. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I say kick back.
That's true.
I say kick back, have a pint, wait for the whole thing to blow over, paint your models, play your games, and don't even stress. Because nothing but good can come from this.
Oh, yeah. What about the Psyker phase? I'll throw that out there. 1,000 Suns, I think it'll be a better thing, but I think it would be more of a hindrance as well.
Yeah, well, I do think It depends on how they do Perils of the Warp, and it also depends on how they adapt the Thousand Suns to how the Psyker Phase works now. Because apparently
Yeah.
in the Psyker Phase, you can't cast the same power more than once, which is fine because with the Thousand Suns, they're supposed to know all these different psychic powers. So I don't see why you'd really want to monopolize off of one power because most of the time, anyways, even now, you're really just trying to cast for Psychic Maelstrom, Levitation, um, and
Divination.
well, no, I'm just talking about the individual powers. Like Levitation, Psychic Maelstrom is really the only powers you want to cast in your segment. Let's be honest, when it comes to your segment, there's only going to be one squad doing that, so that's not going to really impair them. Biomance is going to be on your Praetor, which is fine because those are one-use powers, so you're not really worried about that. Divination might be the only one that can hinder you, but you just got to prioritize who you want to have twin linked. That's pretty
Yep.
much, I don't see anything really
And with
bad
that
coming from
smite
that.
power.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like you and I were talking about that beforehand. I seen that smite, and I was like, you had to remind me it's only one shot wonder.
Yeah.
So per round, I'm like, freaking D6, what? Nah, you're not doing that to my Praetor.
Yeah.
You kill a freaking Primarch in 3 of those.
Yep.
You know?
But supposedly each power is only a one use only, and I mean, even the random modifier I'm cool with. If they get rid of instant death and just have every weapon be a random modifier, I think that'd be a lot better because it's going to be more accurate. It'll be like your last cannon. It won't just if you hit the guy, you're going to nuke him. It's just a matter of how well was your shot placed.
Yeah. Yeah, I said there we were talking about that whole thematic thing about the last cannons. It's like, and I was reading through the articles this morning a little bit to kind of catch up. I'll be honest, I have actually ignored 8th edition stuff because I was told it didn't affect Horus Heresy at all. So I'm like, why do I care? But realistically, I should. And when we were talking this morning a little bit about it, I'm like, so okay, I'll do some research. I do like the thematics of it. Last cannon's going to go through a freaking concrete wall.
Yeah.
Now, is it going to get the guy in the head or is it going to get him in the arm? Yeah, we'll find out. And that's what that whole D6 wounds does. And I do appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Gear cover saves is just that. Because I'm sorry, you shoot somebody with a 50 cal. A 50 cal can go through a wall. I've seen a red miss people, so shit happens.
Yeah, and I mean,
if you blow off their arm, they're not going to die.
Well, like the fact that cover adds to an armor save rather than be its own separate save. That's going to save so much time and convoluity and playing off of words. Like, there will be no toe into ruins. You get a 4-up cover save, go to ground for a 3-up. Oh, look, I have Community Alliance, and now it's a 2-up cover save. No, it's just a matter of ruins give you +2 to an armor save.
Yep.
There you go. Boom.
And it's like, okay, as a Night Lord player, I was playing a guy, he was shooting at me with Meltas. And Kurz, I think their first round, his guys get a 2-up cover save.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's awesome right now. But now it's going to change to where you can actually start whittling down his units. It's no longer a 2-up armor save. It's just you have to roll 3+ to survive it. And I think that's going to be awesome. I like the thematics of it because I'm a very imaginative person. So
right, yeah. It's not
like, yeah, guys standing out in the open. Yes, it's dark out. You don't see guys that are going to kind of blind firing, but you may get that lucky shot and blow the bastard's head off. So,
right, or like for example, like you have a 10-man Meltagun squad fire against 5 fire raptors that are 6 inches away from them. They have stealth and shrouded with that, and they're in ruins. That doesn't mean that out of 10 of those Meltagun shots, one might hit. It just means that they're all going to know where you're at. They can hear your jump boosters going off. Just it's a matter of how well do their shots actually hit.
Exactly. You can punch a hole through a wing and then get it crash a damn plane.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think, looking at it from a thematic standpoint and a aesthetic, I think it's going to be wicked.
Yeah.
I think with 8th edition, if it does affect us eventually, even if it doesn't, both ways, with 40k FAQs not really affecting us as far as 30k because our rules are different enough.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll be fine
either
way.
And another thing too, and I just want to throw this one out there for anybody who says it's stupid that bolters or lasguns can hurt vehicles. You have to understand in a thematic sense, a bolter's not going to shoot at a front armor plate of like 5 inches in steel and penetrate. But you can imagine a Space Marine's going to know that he can't punch that armor, so he's going to aim at track pulleys. He's going to aim at targeting sensors. He's going to aim at weapon mounts, weapon servos, right? And if there are these superhumans that can aim that well, right? They have targeting reticles inside of their helmets. It would make sense. They'd be like, "Shit, tank! Shoot the weak points. You got the track pulleys." Like, just, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, I use the tanks to. Okay, military. They train you. Unless you have armor-piercing rounds, a grenade will not hurt a Sherman tank.
Mm-hmm.
World War II theory. You toss a damn grenade down that barrel, what's going to happen?
Oh, yeah.
Pop goes the weasel.
Yep.
I was like, those guys are going to be climbing out of that thing as quick as possible because they're dead if they don't.
Yep.
So it's like, you're right. They are superhuman sharpshooters, and with augmentations beyond belief, it's
and .75 caliber rounds that self-detonate.
with it. Yep. Self-detonate being the key word. They're freaking uranium tipped, baby. They're gonna go pop.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's like we were joking. A guy goes, "What are these weapons like?" I go, "Imagine an automatic grenade launcher with armor penetrating heads." And it's like military guys kind of try to wrap their heads around it. They're like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Because that's unbelievable. And that's what the Space Marines are shooting.
Yeah.
So,
well, and it seems unbelievable.
I'm not military, so I've never actually dealt with anything like that. Thank goodness. But I've,
well,
been around weaponry. So we see it.
A friend of mine that was, I wouldn't say a friend of mine, an acquaintance I met through my brothers in the armed forces. We were talking about it, and he said the same thing. He's like, "That doesn't make any sense." And I go, "It doesn't until you realize the guy that's carrying it is 8.5 feet tall and weighs around 600 pounds and is augmented with ceramite plate armor that has compensators inside of his armor to help compensate the recoil." Then all of a sudden it makes sense. It's like, oh yeah, well, okay, I can see where that could be believable then, because I couldn't see a normal man carrying that. It's like, and that's why they don't.
No. But I mean, you see the weaponry people carry nowadays, the saws.
Yep.
Holy crap, dude! I mean, they're no normal. You and I cannot. We could shoot one, but I've seen guys shoot two.
Yep.
The guy's 6'6" and happens to be like freaking monster, but they can do it. It can be done.
Even look at the SK-12s, the automatic 12-gauge shotguns.
Yep.
Like, no thanks. That would tear my arm off.
Actually, it doesn't. Autos, I shot a 5-round burst. You'd be surprised on how low recoil it has.
Really?
So, yeah, I figured I'd be knocked on my ass. No, it knocks me back a step.
Okay, so then what that comes down to is the form of engineering, which.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, I mean, now we're getting into physics. But, I mean, yeah, shit happens. I mean, yeah, you're right. You got a 9-foot guy in armor and he weighs probably around 800 pounds.
Yep.
Half a ton. Running around with a gun that is basically a 50 caliber with an explosive round. Actually, it's bigger than a 50 cal. The 50 cal is armor penetrating, so it's 70 cal.
Yep.
With an explosive round. It's ridiculous. It's so far fetched, but it's not.
Yep. Well, and I mean, and even las guns hurt in vehicles. Like even the 40K community site said it would take so many las guns to hurt a vehicle that it wouldn't be worth it. But if you did do it, understand that that's not one guardsman. That like that Tom Hanks meme everyone's seen where he's sitting there with the pistol and he shoots one at the tank and it blows up, from Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Understand, though, that if that does ever happen in a game, thematically speaking, it's not one guy doing it. It's the sergeant from that squad telling everybody in that squad to fire at one point on that vehicle. And they're aiming for a track link, or they're aiming for a sensor, or they're aiming for a gun mount, right?
Yep.
One bullet ain't going to do a whole lot. 10 bullets firing rapid fire into one point could do something.
That's true.
Never discount the validity of mass and velocity. You have enough mass going at a right amount of speed, it's going to do damage no matter what.
Eventually.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly it, But anyway, reality versus fantasy. We're getting a little over it.
Yeah. But
no, 8th edition I'm looking forward to as far as 40K. I don't play 40K anymore. I'm excited. I liked Age of Sigmar when they redid it. I didn't understand the whole fantasy thing, rank and files. It actually pissed me off. I'm not going to lie. Guys have tried teaching me, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. because rank and file makes sense to me, but how they were doing it did not. So
Yeah.
it's like, I'm a chess player. Tell me what I need to do.
Yep.
And stuff. I can get you a checkmate as long as each piece says it's right. But no,
all I can, like I said on 8th, and I'll compliment you on that, is for anybody who's doing the sky is falling, I don't like change. Understand this is a new era of Games Workshop. It's ran by a completely new group of people. They know what they're doing. They're looking at the long game, and anything that comes from this is going to be nothing but good. So there's no need to panic.
Oh yeah. And I'm going to apologize to the old fantasy players. I know that you love the rank and file system. AOS, with the General's Handbook, and they are coming out with the second one. I've been told. Some rules that I like, I enjoy it.
Mhm.
It's simple. It keeps it simple, and it's not convoluted. It's like you don't have to worry about, shit. I don't even know how to transform it over to 40K. But okay, Gauss weapon of a Necron versus a Bolter. Yeah, you quit showing off your beautiful models. It's like a Gauss always wounds on a 6. Now Bolt Gun can do something. It's like the Termagant, you can blow its eyeball out at least.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna get you. So I don't know. It's like, as far as a hidden Horus Heresy, I think it's going to be amazing to a point. I'm curious. I'm more curious than anything. I haven't been upset since I started in 6th edition, and I know this is only my first or second time they've gone through an edition change. I love 7th edition. I really like the whole, with the exception of formations, I love the whole going after objectives versus just slaughter.
Yeah.
And I do. I really do. So I love objective-based games. Give me a reason to play.
Yeah.
And that's why I'll do it. And that's why I do my events that way. So.
Well, and remember too, even with that statement, that's still premature. We don't know how the game actually runs. We're talking about core rules. We don't know how the missions are.
Yep.
We don't know how the game's supposed to be played. We just know how the game is going to be played. We don't know how it's supposed to be though. We don't know the directive of it. We just know how the mechanic is. But here's something else I'll throw out there too. So like talking on a Legion basis, when you get a heavy support squad, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the go-to heavy weapons for a heavy support squad?
Usually plasma and Melta.
Well,
at least down here.
Well, that's a support squad. I'm talking about a heavy support squad. Like you.
No, I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so what
I do Volkite first, but it's like, whatever.
So what I usually see, and I'm talking like just overall, like not just my area, but I'm talking about like in a general consensus, your average heavy support squad is going to be missile launchers, las cannons, or Volkite culverins.
Yep.
That's you just assume that will be on a heavy support squad. Why? Because las cannons will blow up tanks. Missile launchers can take care of medium vehicles or just completely punk space marines. And Volkite culverins have range and can stack wounds. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Now hear me out on this.
Okay.
So a missile launcher will never blow up a tank. Okay? And a las cannon is a waste on a marine. Okay? It makes those units one-dimensional to where they only have a certain kind of target to fire after to make it most effective, and that's why you bring them. Okay? Which makes all other units like autocannons and heavy bolters seem irrelevant. Like when you look at a heavy support squad, the only reason why you bring heavy bolters over Volkite culverins is because they're cheaper. But beyond that, Volkite culverin outperforms it in every which way. Okay?
That's true.
Right.
Especially throughout the armor value.
Now in 8th edition, there's going to be no more AP like we're used to. Now it's just a save modifier, which all of a sudden will make things like heavy bolters and autocannons, which are usually forgotten about, more effective, or not even more effective, but more of a thought of what to bring on your units, because now they can negative modify other units.
Yeah, it's true.
Where before, a heavy bolter and autocannon, you fired a Marine doesn't give a shit. I have a 3-up save, whatever. Where now it's like, well, an autocannon's half the cost of a las cannon, and it'll still do a -2 wound it'll do a -2 armor modifier on a Marine. Now Marines are scared of autocannons, as they should be. because they're a giant. They're a cannon. They're a hand cannon.
Oh, yeah.
So, in that sense, it'll make weapons that you're not used to seeing become more relevant, or at least a good variable.
That's true. As a community as a whole.
Yep.
I'm unfortunately. Okay, I'm gonna say fortunately, actually, that I'm fortunate to be surrounded by a bunch of players that play very thematic armies.
Yeah.
I see autocannons, I see plasma, I see Volkite. I very rarely see missile launches or blast cannons on heavy support squads.
Right.
And stuff. And out of 60 players that I've played with, I don't think I've seen one.
Well, and I'm not, but that's what I'm getting at, though. That it erodes that barrier of competitive and thematic, right? People will be rewarded for doing the thematic choice, regardless. Yeah. And now things that were fluffy units or fluffy equipment will not be known as that anymore. They'll actually be viable strategic units to take. It's all about how do you like to play. So anybody who has those units now that feel like, well, my autocannons don't do that great, but Iron Havocs is what they had. It's like, yeah, well, now you're gonna get rewarded for that. So that's
Iron Havoc's gonna reap shit.
Yeah.
Take it. Bend over, George. You're gonna eat.
Yeah. Like Imperial Fist with heavy bolters now will be more of a viable target. So, or not target, but viable choice.
Yeah, and Imperial Fist, damn, hit on 2 is still pissed. Like I die so badly.
Oh yeah, but we'll see.
It's gonna be awesome. All the speculation's awesome. I honestly hope for it. At least a hybrided 8th edition.
Yep.
So we're heresy.
I just don't think the sky's falling. I think there's no reason to panic. Just everyone have a beer, sit back, and watch. Nothing but good.
No, and that's exactly it.
Yep. So, well, I guess with that we rambled long enough, eh?
Are you being Canadian? I just heard that. Eh?
I'm in Alaska. It's a bleed off.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'd say. I guess to wrap up the show, I want to say thank you to the local community again for the Ties of Corruption, Games and Gizmos. I know Rob's got an event coming up this summer.
Yep, that's the Artist Trident Day 2. And that's going to be in August, so we're still a little ways out. But it's going to be the second chapter in the story of the Artist Trident, and this time it'll be a sabotage war rather than an assault.
Nice. It's going to be awesome. And stuff. I got an event June 24th, MOB Games in Lake Stevens, Man Overboard Games. It will be a full Zone Mortalis at 1,250 points per side. It's going to be awesome. It's basically the race for the controls and the technology of this mass weapon that these poor bastards had to deal with yesterday.
Nice.
And then end of August, we're still talking to Dragonflight, Evan Laucher and I from Games and Gizmos. We want to run a 3-day event, Friday open gaming, and then Tuesday, I don't even know when the hell I said that, Saturday and Sunday, 2 games each. It's going to be basically the conquest of the weapon and blah, blah, blah of Sebreth. So I know I was supposed to read some of the fluff for the event. I'm actually going to save that for the next episode that we're going to do. I do want to, as a teaser, we had 2 players that don't even know each other. One played the Custodes and one plays Imperial Fist, and they wrote kind of a fluff piece dealing with each other as Custodes and Implantura, which I thought was amazing. So I would like to share that next time around. So you guys listen in for that. But yeah, Dragonflight coming up at the end of August, 26th, 27th, or Saturday, Sunday will be the big game. Friday 25th will be open gaming. Hopefully, anybody who's traveling to the Seattle area, it's actually in Bellevue at the Hilton.
Okay.
So I will have information posted as soon as possible on that. We're waiting to find out everything gets finalized. Like Rob's coming down A lot of people come from Oregon.
Yep.
So it's going to be. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope. When I say I hope, just hopefully it all works out. That's what it boils down to.
Oh well, I'll be there all
Any
intoxicated.
questions?
That's like a guarantee that it's going to work.
Yeah, pretty much. Come out, hang out, drink. That is what it is. We do have a cash bar. No joke. It is in their room specifically for. We got a beautiful banquet room that we're playing in. I have to figure out how many places, how much it's going to cost. But that being said, I honestly have nothing else really to add as of right now for that. But
Right
it is
on.
what it is.
Cool. Well, and that's about it on mine as well. I may be setting up another Heresy Games Day at MJ's out in Wasilla here in the next month or two, but I'm still working that to ground. And then if you guys are interested in that MDF Zone Mortalis board, that's going to be at ttcombat.com. It's their Death Quadrant set. I'll have the link in the show notes, but if you guys are interested in it, you can definitely come by and check them out.
Yeah, definitely. And mind you, seeing the board, the quality is amazing. So, yeah.
Right on.
I
Well,
love it. So,
whoa, illumination. Man, your camera's got bright.
yeah, I know. Well, so I'm going to turn on the lights. Like, dog's got to go out. So, if there are any questions as far as hobby progress or whatnot, get a hold of us. I don't know, Rob, have you had any mentions or questions to you on your way?
No one likes talking to us. Whatever. That's fine.
That's, makes our job easier, right?
Pretty much. But we are curious to know what you guys think. Give us a shout. Shoot us a message.
Yeah, so I've seen some beautiful stuff out there. Models. Show off your models. Northwest 30K Boxcast, Legions United, blah, blah, blah. If you're not on Facebook, email us, northwest30k@gmail.com. I'll share that with Rob as it comes through. Don't be afraid to ask questions, share your lists, models. If you have a fluff story, I don't care if you play with us or not. I probably will read it because I love fluff.
Yep.
So does Rob. We laugh about it because the cool part about the hobby is not only modeling, there's also coming up storylines. So I'm writing up a story for my Sisters of Silence named character, quote unquote, and stuff. That don't be bashful. If that's a part of your hobby that you love to do and you want to share it with the world, be more than happy to share it on our program. So, and if you're worried about me butchering the name, enunciate it with all that whole English stuff on it. I'll do my best. So you can even message me on Messenger, Dave Leger or Rob Porter.
Yep.
You can talk to us. We're easy.
Come find us, reach out, say hi.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
so I want to say a huge shout out and thank you to the community for supporting the whole Tides of the Corrupted event yesterday. Games Against Most once again. Guys in Vancouver, BC, talk to Darren. Hopefully he'll say we're awesome as I think I am. So but it's great. I'm sorry I got a little serious toward the middle of the program, but it is what it is.
Yeah, whatever. It's fine.
You guys, it's important, and it just it is. I mean, we've been doing this for what 7-8 months now, and
yeah, something like that. 7 or
it's and it's amazing on how much the community has grown. But it's also you take the good with the bad. So when we say that, it's not a slam; it's just reality. So
yeah, and just don't. I mean, in the coming months, just don't take it negative. Just keep chugging on and do your thing, and let's keep this going. Let's keep the community growing.
Oh hell yeah! And 8th edition shouldn't scare us; it should inspire us, because not only is change good, but it keeps it interesting.
Yep. Absolutely.
As my wife pulls a big ass butcher knife out. I don't think that's interesting. So, well, what you doing, Shug? As Dave dies.
And that's the cue that Dave has to go.
Well, all right, gentlemen. And Rob.
All right, everyone. Well, until next time, we'll catch you later on the Northwest 30K Boxcast and stuff.
Good night.